Welcome back. As of now, we have created a user form. Okay. Now, in this video, we will post this data and create this user. Okay. So let's close all this. Open the user form. Okay, this one, and this is the submit button. Just come first to the user slice, and I created here, get user list action. Create one more. Export const uh, post user or create user action. Okay, same, create async thumb as it is async action. Now first parameter is the name for get create user action. Create user action. Then here we have a function, arrow function, which is of async, and here we need to write, let me format. Okay, from here we will call create API, and after that return the response. So just let's create the API function. Export const create user async. Here we need data, and data the type of it be like it should have name and email address, nothing much. Okay, let me create it here only for now, then we can move it to proper place. User form, name and email. Okay, now I need to call HTTP service post action, because we need to post data. Then API config dot user, and we need to pass data, and return this, return await. And what does it return? It returns the data of the newly created user, which is of type iUser. Let's move this to type file, in type file, and export this one. Export in user service, import that. Okay, fine. Now in user slice, we need data, which is of iUser form, and we need to call create user. Okay, we can rename it like create user API, that will be better. And this one to get user list API. Yeah. Okay, so here we need to pass data. It will return us response, and here we need to write await. In response, we have seen that we get data in response data, so same thing. Now we need to add this in a extra reducer here. So similar like the three things we can add for create user action. I'm replacing at last three. Okay, and removing the action. Okay, so we can create one more status for create user for status. Okay, it is having like the same API status ideal, and we need to add this in a interface a user state, which is of type API status. And these three are the builder functions or the extra reducer actions for the create user action. So I can use, instead of list status, I can use create user form status. So I am replacing at all places. So when it is like pending, I am making it loading fulfilled, I can make it success, so we can show the success message. When it is rejected, I can show the error, rejected one. Okay. Okay, now we need to call this uh, action from the form. So on submit this thing, on submit form, I can create here function for that. We will get here e, which is like a reference to the form. We need to write e dot prevent default. Here the event we received here is react dot form event. In that we have prevent default. Fine. So from user form, what we have to call this action, create user action. So for that we need to take dispatch first, because we always dispatch the action. Okay, dispatch user app, sorry, use app dispatch from app hooks. Then yeah, I need to call this dispatch, and what is the action name? Create user action. I need to call that user slice. Here we have to pass data. So create data which is of form I user form. Okay, and here we need to pass name and email. So just pass it. Yeah, perfect. So name and email will be taken from this. So whenever we click on the submit button, this function will get called. Here we are creating the data object which we are passing to user action. We are dispatching it. Okay, and this action called the API to create user, and from here the user will get created. Let's save all the files. Save all. Check now. In dashboard we have only 2 records. Now I am creating one more, Bob at the gmail.com. Okay, let's check. Okay, Bob is created now. Again create some Johnny at the rate gmail.com, and check the network. Remove the throttling, clear it, check. Okay, so post call is called. This is the URL. Now go to the dashboard. So whenever we click, whenever we click on the dashboard, it first time it calls the get API. Yeah, so it is working now. Okay, so what we have to do now in next video, like we can add the action method like view, edit and delete. With continuation to it, we have to like clear the fields whenever the user get added, and we have to show the message like user added. So for which we are using toast, so we can do that later, but for now we can do like whenever we press on the add user and a user get added, we can clear these fields. So for that what we can do is, we have this thing where we know uh, that user is what we can say, user is added, okay, with a status success. So if status is success, what we can do is we can clear the form. How? So in user form we can use effect, okay, use effect. So whenever like the property from the user slice, let's take that we have use app selector, okay. So here arrow function, we have here state is of root state. From here what we can do, we can take user, then create user form, okay. Let's destructure it, const create user form status. So whenever this prop is changed, we need to invoke this use effect, okay. So if create user form status equals to API status is a success, okay, that time we have to clear the field. How we can do? We can call this function set name with default empty value and set email with empty value, okay. And now we need to reset this field to ideal. For that how we can do is we need to write that in a reducer, okay. Reset create list status, okay. Here we have state, and in state, okay, we can write in this way. So state dot create user form status equals to API status as ideal, okay. So we need to export this function now. How we can do? We can export this function from user slice actions. How we can do is export, okay, just a minute, okay. So here we need to mention the const, fine. So once the use effect get called whenever this property change and this property is success, then we are clearing this field and we need to dispatch the reset create list status, okay. I am importing, yeah. So let's check it. Let's create some like dummy1 and dummy1 @gmail.com. Click on add user, yeah. So the fields are getting cleared and dummy1 is added, fine. This is looking good now. Let's change the add user to create, okay, and add some styling to it now. we can add here. So whenever input is of type submit or input is of type button, what we can do is we can keep the height 30 pixel, then yeah, padding left 10 pixel. Let's check it first. Okay, padding padding right 10 pixel. Okay, and margin left 5 pixel. Okay, fine. Okay, let's create action methods in next video.